Hello, this is Justin Seven with SportsbookReview.com, and we're going to take a closer look at the Eagles-Vikings wildcard matchup. The Eagles opened up as a 2.5-point road favorite, the fourth road favorite in this wildcard round, with a total of 43.5. If you look at the line movement from Bookmaker, you can see that it's been the money's been coming in on Philadelphia, slowly driving the price up. Now it's about -3 or -3.5, depending on where you're playing it. This is a very interesting matchup to look at, and there are a couple of factors that make it hard to place a spread on it. The first thing is, what kind of impact does the injury to Pat Williams have on the Vikings defense? The second is, how consistent will Jackson be at quarterback? And the third is, do the Eagles play better than their record would indicate? So we're going to look at each of these factors. Now, Williams has only missed 2 games, but in those 2 games, it was a 39-yard difference from the average. Now, that's obviously a small sample size, but it's significant. General rule of thumb, for every 10 extra rushing yards you give up, the other team will score an extra point. So if the Vikings are really 40 yards worse on rush defense without Williams, this translates to about a 4-point move in what I would call the expected spread. When you're looking at this matchup, you have to say, is Jackson a premier quarterback who's going to have a passer rating of 95 or higher, throwing many more touchdowns and interceptions? Or is he an average quarterback who has outperformed recently but is ready to revert to the mean? And I think it's the latter. I think he's going to have a very tough time against the Philadelphia defense, and I don't think he'll throw more touchdowns than interceptions. Now, there's another problem Jackson's going to have, and that is the Minnesota pass protection. Minnesota has allowed a lot of sacks, and in fact, Jackson has been sacked 14 times this year. In addition to the problems caused by getting sacked with second or third and long positions, you often have fumbles, and in this case, Jackson has lost 4 fumbles this year. One simple method of handicapping a game is to look at each team and say, how does their offense and defense rate compared to the league average? Now, your average team in the NFL scores 22 points and allows 22 points. So for starters, I'd use their 16-week average. Just using their year-to-date statistics, Minnesota has scored 23.7 points a game, or 1.7 better than average, allowed 1.2 less, whereas Philadelphia has scored 26 and allowed 18 per game. Now, there's a quick way to come up with a predicted score to use for setting a spread and a total. Start with a base of 22 for each team. You add their predicted offensive performance. Philadelphia is +4, Minnesota's -0.8. And to that, you adjust it by the opponent's defense. Minnesota allows an extra 2.8 with the injury, so this increases Philadelphia's score to 28.8, whereas Minnesota is expected to score 4 points less for Philadelphia's defense. So this gives you a predicted score of about 29-17 on a neutral field. So if you accept my assumptions, you might make Philadelphia a 12-point favorite on a neutral field, or call it a 9-point favorite at Minnesota, with a game total of 45. That's all for today. If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email at justin@sportsbookreview.com.